Hey guys, I'm Liz. Welcome back to Springcreekacre. I'm going to try this again. I actually made a video yesterday, kind of starting the process of what I'm going to finish today. But in the camera, the lighting looked great. But whenever I went to edit it, it was very dark. So I'm just going to kind of remake it. Or not remake it, I guess, finish the second part, but kind of go back over everything that I went over in the first part. I'm up-potting my tomatoes and peppers. We're actually, I'm in zone 8A, kind of on the line of 7B, 8A. And where I'm at, our location, our last frost is typically somewhere between the 28th of March and the 1st of April. For my tomatoes and peppers, though, I don't just go by the last frost. With my tomatoes, I put them out when our nights are staying at 50 or higher. And my peppers, 55 to 60 or higher. I've just seen that they do a lot better. Also, whenever I start my plants, I start them based on putting them out somewhere between the 15th and the 30th of April. And that's done really well for me the last few years. We're pretty far past the frost at that point, and I don't have to worry about going out and trying to put frost fabric over things. I'm kind of a lazy gardener, I guess you would say, and doing things like that is a huge turn off to me and will make me just dread it. And so I prefer to make things as easy as possible on myself. But yesterday I got, I think, one of my starter trays up potted. I had talked to y'all a little bit about my frustration. So whenever I started my seeds, this is the first year ever that I have spent the money and bought the Fox Farm soil, and I was really happy with it. All of my plants just looked really great. You can see they have big lateral branches, where usually I get more of a straight up and then just these little spindly little arms. So they look really great, but I was trying, let me kind of rephrase that. Prior to this year, I've used Pro Mix. Last year I could not find Pro Mix, I guess because of all the shortages. And so I just used whatever my garden center has, and I was not pleased. I honestly don't even remember what it was. And this year I couldn't find Pro Mix when I was starting my spring crops. And so I just went ahead and spent the money and got the Fox Farms. But I found Pro Mix in my garden center again, just a few days ago. And I purchased it, and my intention was to up pot these plants into that. Whenever I got home and started putting the soil into my cups, it had a very, very, very foul odor. And so I went and returned it just at Walmart right down the road and grabbed another bag, and it had the same smell. And so I went ahead and used it. I'm hoping I'm not going to regret it. I'm hoping that there's nothing wrong with it and that maybe it had just stayed too wet. But I did plant these yesterday. I didn't finish filling up the cups. I just kind of buried them as they were. I talked a little bit in the first part of the video about how I plant my tomato seedlings really, really deep. So I'll pull off most of the leaves up to the top, just canopy, and then I'll plant it as deep as I can. Because with tomatoes, they root really easily on their stem. They have these little hairs. I don't know if you'll be able to see on the camera or not, but they have little hairs on the stem, and those will produce roots. And so I like to plant them as deep as possible to help them get established under the ground. Sorry, cardboard, it's kind of picking up the wind, and some cardboard I'd laid out around my trees is blowing around, so I have to go grab that in a second. But yeah, I like to plant those as deep as possible. I had some issues, and I don't know, somebody may have some advice for me, but whenever I started my tomatoes and they first started coming up, the weather was really nice out, and we were staying about 75, 80, about 50 at night, which I wasn't leaving them at night, but during the day I would take them out. They were just tiny little sprouts. I'd take them outside, let them get some sun and wind, try to make them strong, and I thought that that would be okay. because they were so small. I thought, well, you know, like when a seedling comes up outside, it's outside and it can withstand it. So why couldn't these seedlings, if I start taking them outside right away? Oh, I'm gonna have to go get that cardboard. It's just gonna blow my neighbor's yard. So I went out there one day and all my leaves were curled. Honestly, no, that's not true. When I went out there that time, they were like sunburned. So we got through that, but now I have these curled leaves. This dog. Hold on a second. Let me let him outside. Okay, got that done. I'm not sure exactly what I was saying now. I can't remember, but I do plant my tomatoes deep. I kind of just set them in there so they need some more soil. I had just a little bit of my Fox Farm Ocean Forest, I think is what it's called. Yeah. And so I'm going to finish filling up these cups with that. And then I'm going to move on to this Pro Mix. I left it outside last night. No, I don't know. It smells weird. And I don't know how to explain it. But it doesn't smell like soil. So anyway, I'm hoping I don't regret it. I put some in these pots last night. All the plants still look fine. The leaves rolling that I had, which I think I was talking about that a minute ago. I don't know what caused that. I do fertilize, but I fertilize very, very diluted. I've been using just a teaspoon of fish emulsion per gallon of distilled water. And so I'm not sure what's going on. I say distilled water, like filtered water. But I did notice, so we'd gone out of town and I watered pretty heavily. And I didn't think to, well, I drained all the trays out actually, but I must have missed this one that these were in, because whenever I was like, what is going on? Why are they curling? I noticed that there was still water in that tray. And so I dumped it. They still weren't really unrolling, but the soil was still really saturated. And so they're starting to unroll, it looks like. And so they might have just had too much wet soil, which that's okay. It's no big deal. Tomatoes are really pretty hardy. I'll finish my cold coffee. Let me see if I have a little plastic cup to use. Well, I couldn't find a plastic cup, but these little cups always make me smile. They're pimento cheese jars, and my grandmother-in-law, before she passed away, she would use these as her cups, and so I think she would think it was funny I was using it. I spoke yesterday a little bit about whenever I start in these trays that have, I think it's like 50 spots, like this. And I like doing that because it doesn't use quite so much soil. And then what I did is I put it into my phone. So like when I start, each tray has like a letter on it, and it says like D, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. And in my phone, I'll make notes like tray D started on whatever date, number 1 or whatever. And I'll put what seeds I started there, and I'll just do that all the way down. And so I didn't want to use quite so many labels. I just had to go buy these at Tractor Supply the other day. And they were not super cheap. But I put what I'm doing. So I just counted whenever I was up potting them. I counted, you know, where they're 8 or 9. And then I'd put like Bush Early Girl times 4. And so I know that all 4 of these that I've up potted in these pots are the Bush Early Girl. And I did that all the way down. So far I've planted, it looks like 14 Bush Early Girls, 2, 4, 8 Super Sauce, and 10 Cherokee Purple. So I'm excited about those. Last year I just did heirlooms, and that's great. Like, heirlooms have the best flavor. They're beautiful and unique, and it's so, like, I will always speak volumes for heirlooms. But our heat came on extremely early last year, and it was really, really hot. Like, we were seeing over 100 days very consistently at the very beginning of May. And so I didn't get really any tomatoes. All of my tomatoes just, they grew and the foliage was great and everything looked great, but they just would not set fruit. Tomatoes don't typically set fruit once the temperatures are steadily over 90. And so I tried to add in a few things that ripen sooner, hence the Bush Early Girl, and a hybrid for that super sauce. And so I'm hoping that maybe we can beat the heat, or these hybrids may do okay through the heat. The Bush Early Girls are determinants. So here in about a week, I'm going to go ahead and start another batch of those so that once these are done producing, I can have something to backfill their spot and try to go all the way through summer with those. I have one bed that, honestly, it's this whole, if you're looking at my garden, the whole right side, I have serious issues with Bermuda. I think it came in some wood chips that I got a couple of years ago, and it's just really taken over, and it's trying to spread to the other side. But my tomatoes seem to do okay as long as I keep it weeded out the best I can. The thing about Bermuda is it will kind of just trample over everything. I tried cardboard, I tried doing heavy mulch, everything, and it's very invasive. And so I think I'm just going to do those beds, most of them in tomatoes. The squash seemed to kind of shade out the weeds enough, so it wasn't such a big deal. But that's where I plan to put those. And I'm going to try to do them on like a single stake method with some rebar, T-post, or something like that. But I'm going to finish. Oh, I just did that Pro Mix instead of the box farm. I thought that maybe if I let that Pro Mix sit outside overnight, it would not stink so bad, but it still stinks pretty good. I'm not sure. I've never had that issue before. I'm thankful that Walmart let me exchange it, and I feel a little more comfortable because it was both bags that stunk, and I tried to grab them from different areas. But I'm just filling these up just about to the top of the pot. These are 2.5 inch pots from Bootstrap Farmer. Prior to this, I just used little cups from Amazon. They didn't really hold up and kind of just lasted a season, but it was affordable. The Bootstrap Farmer trays are kind of expensive. But I'm really thankful that I've been able to do some side work for a friend last year to get my ones I started in, and then this year my husband gifted these to me. So it was very thoughtful gifts. I'm very excited about them. I was hoping that we would have my greenhouse done before this season, but you know, life happens, and sometimes I don't feel like working on it every weekend, and that's okay. I am going to try to work on it a little bit this weekend, but we're also trying to go fishing because this is the best time of year to fish, we think. And so we're thinking about trying to go fishing this weekend. I'm not sure. We also might go visit my parents. They just live like an hour away, but there's a really good nursery right by my mom. She has a camper out at a little lake nearby, and there's a really good nursery right there by her house that I love going to. They have bulk seeds, they have herbs, like all kinds of herb plants. At least last year they were only $1. The people are super, super nice. Their prices were definitely affordable, and I want to go back. So, and they also have a really good, oh, there it is, okay. They have a really good little metal store, like garden decor metal. And she had a rocking chair out the other day, but she was closed when we went. It was on a Sunday. And so I'm hoping, oh, these plants look so good. I think, honestly, I think the Fox Farms is worth the price. It really is. These plants are beautiful. I'm hoping that this Pro Mix doesn't. That's what I've always used Pro Mix. I've loved it for years. I'm not sure what's going on right now, but hopefully my plants still do okay. I figure if they start looking cruddy, I can wash the roots off and go get a bag of Fox Farms and repot them. Shouldn't be a huge deal as long as they don't just go downhill super quickly. But I think it's going to be okay. Like I said, both bags have the exact same smell, and they were pretty damp, so I don't know if that just made the smell more noticeable. It's a tiny little one. I should have just left it where it was, but we'll see. I don't think that's going to make it. Yeah, I think I paid like $20 or something for this bag, which I think is worth it. Now, I was kind of hoping it wouldn't be worth it so that I couldn't justify spending that every year. But these plants look really, really good. I have given them, I think I've fertilized them twice with that diluted fish emulsion. And my Neptune's Harvest just came in. I got the fish fertilizer from Neptune's Harvest, and I'm really excited to try it. And I've heard a lot of really good reviews. And then I just fertilized my trees, my fruit trees as well, which I haven't really shown y'all much out there. But I fertilized them with some Dr. Earth. I really like it. I've been really happy with it. I used it last year. I still haven't had any fruit set that I've noticed, which is kind of surprising. Most of my trees are 3 years old. Well, about half of them are 3 years old this year, so I'm not sure if it's something I'm doing wrong, but I have been trying to water. I thought maybe it was a watering issue. I thought maybe I wasn't watering enough last year, but I've definitely been watering enough, so I'm not sure. Why I'm still not getting fruit, but I don't know if it's a pollination issue, like I don't have enough, so maybe that's a good excuse to go buy some more trees, I guess. I'm not talking about anything except the soil, but I am nervous about it, y'all. I hope I'm not making a bad decision here. I really hope I'm not. That Fox Farms was good stuff. I thought the hype might just be hype, but I don't think so. My plants are beautiful this year. And the green foliage is beautiful. It's just, they're good plants for sure. Just trying to fill them up as much as I can so that they can root easily. I guess I have about 2 weeks till I'm going to try to plant these out based on previous years. Obviously, I'll kind of watch the weather for those temperatures. One of my chickens was broody. I don't know if I've talked about it. We had kind of a lot going on, and I keep catching myself not making videos. I'm like, oh, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll make one tomorrow. And then I'm like, oh man, I could just get this done really quick. But anyway, we had a broody hen. One of our fall chickens that we got in the fall was already broody. And she had a bunch of eggs underneath her, like quite a bit. She kept letting the chickens come and lay underneath her, and she hatched out, I guess, 4. We found one that didn't make it past the hatching. Something must have gone wrong. And then just the other day we were doing a little coop check, and we found 2 more that I guess had like hatched, but maybe she was already out of the coop. So, but we got 4 out of it. And then yesterday we feed our chickens in here's one of my hairs. We water our chickens in just like these big bowls, and that's always been okay. Like, we've never had an issue. But we found one of the little babies in one of the water bowls. So we have 3 little baby chicks left, and we have another broody mom who she actually hatched eggs out last year, and we used a bunch of them for meat birds because they were roosters, and we didn't need any more roosters. But we had got 1 hen out of it, and her name's Whitey Tidy. She's like a Brahma olive egger mix. But anyway, so that hen, her mom, is is sitting on a clutch of eggs again right now. And she won't let me see what she has underneath her. The only bad thing about her as a mom is she won't even get up and like take care of herself. She'll just sit on those eggs. You really have to watch her and make sure that she's eating and drinking. I try to put food and water right there with her. But I'm excited that we have so many broody chickens. It's always great to get free chickens. You can eat them, or you can grow them out and have hens, or you can give them to your friends and family, or sell them, or whatever. So I really like that. I'm really excited. We had never had a rooster until this last year, and I was excited that we would get baby chicks for free and be these beautiful colors, all these different color egg layers. And then the rooster we have is an Americana, and so we should get some beautiful colors between all my hens, some beautiful color egg layers, if I can get some hens out of these. The last rooster we had was a Brahma. He was kind of a butthead, and we got rid of him really quickly. Well, turned him into soup, but pretty quickly. But he had already fertilized a few eggs, and that's how we had chickens last year. So I'm thankful to him for that. He did give me like all the roosters. But I'm excited that we finally have a colorful egg layer breed for roosters. And then my ladies, I just have a good flock. They're all such sweet chickens, and they come when you call them, which is crazy. You can just say, "Hey ladies," and they'll be on their way. Hold on, Cashy boy, and I'll let you out. My dogs always want to be outside. But then when he's out there, he's a hound dog, so he just sits and barks. But he does not like being in the house very much. Hold on, boy. This soil does have a weird smell, but honestly, it's not as bad as it was yesterday. So hopefully that's a good sign. So I got this tray done. That looks so good. See how pretty those are. But they're buried deep, so they look so tiny again. That's great. They're going to do great. The first year I was so sad. I was like, man. Okay, so I started this tray, it looks like. So it has the Pro Mix in it. I don't know how to explain it, what it smells like. It's weird. But I'm going to see what happens. Hopefully it's okay. And I don't regret this. If so, you'll just see me cry on camera. So it's pretty easy. Pretty self-explanatory. Well, I say that. I've been doing this a while, so I guess to me it is. Not to everybody. I don't mean that to sound unkind. And I kind of pat it down. I don't really push. I don't want to break any roots or anything, but I kind of pat it down so I can fill the pot up all the way. I think I'm going to let these just kind of go for probably through the weekend, and then next week I'll give them some of this Neptune's Harvest. I am a little disappointed because it's already gotten so warm again this year. All of my spring crops just already went to seed. I have some that are still in their little pots that are just sitting out there. I was hardening them off. I was going to try to plant them out here the next day or two, but I'm now nervous. I'm like, is there even any point in wasting my time moving them out? Because everything is going to seed, even the stuff I planted in the fall. It just never really got big. It never really did well. And now it's trying to go to seed. I feel like maybe I don't fertilize enough. I guess in my head I was giving them compost at the beginning of the season, and that should carry them through, but I don't think that's true now. So I think this coming fall when I plant out, I'm going to really get them on a good watering schedule now that I have my timer. And I'm going to get them on a good fertilizing schedule just like every 2 weeks, keeping them fed, because I think that might be part of the issue. I'm going to put him outside really quick. 1 second. Go ahead and do my other tomatoes. I didn't have great germination in this tray. This side here I planted, I think maybe kind of see in the camera. They look really small compared to the rest. This tray, I don't know. This is all my heirlooms. So hopefully they do well. I'm really hoping. But I'm going to go ahead and up-pot them. I think that they'll be a lot happier, and then I'm going to get them fertilized, like I said, after the weekend. Kind of give them a few days to get established in these pots. Okay, so get my Sharpie, get my tags, and I'm just going to go through my list. So this is tray E. Tray E. I planted on 220, except for those other ones were like the beginning of March. So these are just about 5 weeks old, which I feel like they should be probably a little further along than they are. Barry's Crazy Cherry are doing great, that's for sure. Okay, so 1 through 2 are the carbon tomatoes, which look really bad. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. My big trellis that I have holds, I think, like 28 tomatoes. And so I'm definitely going to have to get some stakes and stuff, because I'm already at, I think that's 32. Which some of those are those determinants I was saying that I was going to put in a different bed and do a little differently. Okay, so I got those tags made just for the carbon. And then I have this little pencil. Sorry, I have to keep pulling my pants up. They are not wanting to stay on me today. And I kind of... These are pretty dry. Yesterday the ones were kind of wet. Those were the ones I was saying that I'd left too much water in for a few days. These ones should come out pretty easy, yeah. Well, maybe. I say that, I'm like, yeah, it's going to do great. I still want to kind of separate. Okay, this one hardly had any soil in it. I mean, any roots. And it all came off. So, I'm going to take some of this good Fox Farm soil out. Finish filling up this little hole. Honestly, this one's looks very stunted. I don't know if you can see how small that is, considering it was planted over a month ago. It's very tiny. I don't know that it'll make it, but we'll give it a shot. No harm in trying. If we don't pot it, then it's definitely not going to do any better. Sometimes you'll put them in their own little pots, give them a little fertilizer, and it'll take off, and you'll be like, oh, okay. know where that came from. You were tiny just a couple days ago. So we'll see. It was in its own little pot over there, but didn't look like it was doing great. I'm going to leave the soil a little low so that as it grows I can add some more soil. Ah! Don't drop everything. I'm just not sure why this tray isn't doing very well compared to the other ones, but those are really small plants. The other tray looked great, which, like I said, they are hybrids, so maybe just a little more resilient to something I was doing or something that happened. I try to use a cup so that I don't make my fingernails just totally gross, but Acer, do you mind, baby? Sitting there cleaning yourself right now. That old dog. I didn't think I was going to love the Fox Farm soil because the it had like a lot of wood chips and stuff, and I was like, gosh, like I just was expecting kind of something different, I guess. But I think these roots really took off. I wonder if I underwatered them. I'm honestly the queen of like underwatering, so it doesn't surprise me a whole lot. Even my houseplants are probably like, yeah, we know. If they're really small, I'm trying to kind of leave a little more room for soil so that as it gets taller, I can kind of add soil, almost like hill it up, I guess I'd say. But not exactly. Try to cover it. Okay. Well, this soil, I don't know. I don't know how to explain the smell, but it's not right. It's not, I don't know. It almost smells like if you walk into a greenhouse, you know how when you go to a big nursery and their greenhouse has like a very distinct, really, really strong smell sometimes. I don't know. Maybe nobody knows what I'm talking about. But that's kind of what it smells like. So I guess maybe it's normal, but I've never had soil smell so strong before. But I think it's going to be fine. I usually use the red bag of Pro Mix, which doesn't have anything added to it, but it's also not organic. So I grabbed this organic one that says it was good for starting seeds in. It has kind of a weird smell, but maybe it's something to do with the soil itself. That's fine. That's what we're going to go with until something else happens. I'm just going to believe that it's supposed to smell that way. Sometimes I feel like a really great gardener. And sometimes I'm like, oh man, do you even know what you're doing? And the answer is maybe no. I guess if you start thinking you're a good gardener, as soon as you start thinking you're a good gardener, something else always happens. And you're like, oh, maybe I don't know anything. That's kind of where I'm at. Maybe I don't know anything. But every year I learn something new. Every year I do something better. And so I'm excited now, too, to have all of you hopefully give me advice when you'll see things like this. Because the gardener's best friend is community. And knowing, I guess everybody's best friend is community. When you find people that have similar interests as you and like the same things you like, it's good to have each other to link and get advice from and know that they actually have an understanding. Not even having to prune the bottom leaves on these, they're so small. I really think that they'll do better now. Make sure they're getting good water. I'm trying to get all that Fox Farm soil out of these little pods. See what I mean? Do y'all hear him out there barking now? He does this every day. It's like our battle. He's like my teenager. It's like a teenage dog that drives me crazy. But I love him. But he's defiant. My teenager actually isn't very defiant. But my teenage dog is. But whenever we bought him, they told us they're not easy to house train. And I was like, oh, we hunt a lot. Like, he can go with us. We trap a lot. So he can go with us. But pretty much all he does is hang out of the house and bark. And when we take him out, he just runs off as fast as he can. But that's probably our fault, lack of training. But he is a very sweet dog. See, these are all wilty, which they're really, really dry. We'll see what happens. They'll either make it or they won't. I have plenty of tomato starts, so if I can probably stand to lose a little bit, it'll be okay. Starting to get hungry. I might have to take a break and eat something really quick. Like, really hungry. Which I guess makes sense. It's about lunchtime. Okay, 2 more, and these, literally, the leaves look really bad. I don't even think I'm going to plant those. Those look bad. Okay, I'm going to take a break. I'm going to eat something really quick so that I don't start getting grumpy. I am very, very prone to getting grouchy whenever I get hungry. So I'm going to plant these. I'm going to eat something, and then we'll come back and we'll finish up potting our tomatoes. And we're actually doing great on time. It's 11:40. So we'll probably get all the way through this and our peppers today, and that's going to be great. I'm excited to have those done. And then, if I have more time, I'm going to get some flowers started. It is a little late, but I did buy some that I'm really excited about, so I'm going to go ahead and try. Even if they don't bloom for a little while, it's okay. And I'll grab some at the nursery too, I'm sure, because I just can't help myself. But anyway, we'll see where we get from here. Well, I accidentally left my camera on the entire time I was eating, so it doesn't have much longer before the battery dies. I was sitting there thinking while I was eating, just trying to figure out, oh, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. My trays aren't marked on this part, they're only marked here. I turn them around a couple times and gotta figure out which way is right. But I was thinking, I wonder what the difference was. Why all of those in that tray, you can even see, if you can see on the camera maybe, these all look so big and good, and then these are just so wimpy. And I was thinking the only thing I could think would be the lighting issue, because I have a shop light that just runs across a section of my shelf, and I just kind of switch everything out. And I think that those have stayed on under the lights almost the whole time, and these haven't gotten near that much light. And so I'm going to try to keep them closer to that light and see, hopefully they'll recover. Okay, let's see what's next. That's the only thing I could think that would have been different. I've fertilized them all the same, watered them all the same. Okay, so 3 and 4. 3 is Brandywines, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4 of those, and they look pretty pitiful. I think these are pink Brandywines, but I can't remember. At least the stems are really tall on these, so I'll be able to that one just came right out. How nice. Yeah, they don't really have many leaves, but the roots are good. So what I'm going to do is try to tease these two apart. I'm going to plant it as deep as I can without hurting those roots. Oh my goodness, every time I get the hole made, the soil falls back into it because it's dry. Okay. Those two brandy ones. Oh, that one just came right out too. It's so nice when it does that. I just can't get over the smell of the soil. It is so weird. I don't know what the heck could have happened, but okay. Fill those up. Oh yes, I have one more. Whenever you smell that soil, it smells like it's worse once you get to the middle of the bags. And obviously that's also where it's the most damp. So hopefully, yeah, that's nasty. It's very strong and clumpy. I just don't know, guys. I hope that I'm not making a really, really bad decision. But only do what you can do. Well, my battery's trying to die. So far I have gotten all of my tomatoes done, so I'm going to show y'all what that looks like. I still have 2 trays of peppers, but I actually ran out of the little holders for my cups to sit down in, which isn't a huge deal, but I do need to get some pots out and get them just set in these trays. And once I move those spring crops, if I decided whether I'm going to plant them or what I'm going to do, then I'll use the trays that those were sitting in. But for now, they'll be fine just sitting in the tray. That's what I've always done before, and it's no big deal. But I'm going to show you the tomatoes so far. So there you can see they're looking pretty good. These are the ones that I did yesterday. And then you can kind of see those little weak ones in the back. But that's a bunch of tomatoes. It makes me so excited. And I still have one more tray here. And this one I actually, towards the end, I wound up adding my tomatillos, which they look awful. You can see back there. We had a friend over, and he was playing with his sword, and he accidentally beheaded all my tomatillos. So I've just kind of repotted them. This one I doubt will make it, but we'll see. I planted them really deep, and they had gotten kind of spindly. They had gotten a little bit spindly and kind of crazy, or growing all over the place. So I just wrapped that stem as much as I could in there. Actually, the tomatillo that looks the best, of course, when I was doing that, I broke the stem. So I'm hoping that it makes it. But so far, they seem to be pretty hardy. I've never started tomatillos from seed that I can remember. And I grew tomatillos last year, but didn't get any. I don't know what happened. Last year was just really hard. So this year's a new year. This tray of tomatoes doesn't look great, but a lot of these are those ones that I actually just planted 2 or 3 weeks ago. So they look good for that. I'm going to give them a couple days and fertilize. But I'm going to get my peppers done, and then I'll show y'all what that looks like. I wanted to kind of hang out with y'all while I up-potted everything, but my battery's not great on this camera, and I only have one. So I'll show y'all when I'm done.